All right, Cyber Traders, good afternoon. And to close out our week this Friday, July 22nd, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. Great to see Norman still with us, perhaps. Great to see Robert still with us, perhaps. Great to see Kathleen from before. And Nina as well joining us. Perhaps a lighter crowd here heading into a Friday in the middle of the summer, end of July, perhaps, right? Great to see Michael. Perhaps he's back to have some fun here with us in the market. Great to see all of us back on social media, Facebook Live and YouTube, though. With that in mind, markets have been steadily dropping off, at least heading into the afternoon from the mid morning. So we've been following that. A couple of stocks as a good short, but otherwise a really good Friday, though. Really, like from pre-market to right now, there's been pretty much something for any one of us to get our hands on. So it's been a surprisingly good Friday. Hey, you snooze, you lose, right? So, no, that's where it always pays to be at your desk. Some days are typically better to take off, today being one of them normally, but for those that are here, well, certainly has done us pretty nicely. So, TKLF right now, Norman had just called this one out right now, just calling out the pop off 235. So, hopefully, this has a lot more life left to it. It's already up 54%. It had a nice little push up, in the morning, but from there it pulled back. So this is what you would call the second type of move, the second wind type of move, rather, I should say. Uh, we'll see if this could accelerate a little bit further. I don't mind at least putting this on the main list to begin. It's just tradable, right? So if it does pull back, perhaps I'll just take it off. But for right now, I like this volume spike, the pop over 235. So let's see if this can make the stronger move at least up towards 250. It's got to do that sooner than later. If it dies out from here, then like I said, I'll just kind of scrap it off our list. All right, but from here, let's be efficient with time otherwise. Don't need to, but let's just go right from top to bottom. Any of the stocks and runners that we caught, they're already on the top of the gainers list anyway. We'll just go and recap them as we go through. So the Pgy trade being one of them. Now, this thing was so crazy for us back on Wednesday afternoon, ended up making a huge run up, a lot higher than I thought it was going to make at the time. Well, shoot, give me a quick sec. Same thing happened here as it happened earlier this morning with myself and Rich. So right over here, you'll take a quick look and you could see, well, yeah, it had a huge pop and run up back Wednesday heading into the afternoon. Well, before the market closed, this thing completely crapped out. Ended up closing out, if I'm not mistaken, like right around that 650 area, 660. So from there, I mean, hey, today another big move. But the thing with this trade that is now more appealing is that it's breaking all-time highs. There's not much data to work off of historically, but it's to say the stock easily is breaking all-time highs, throughout the day. So for right now, I'll put this on our main list alongside the TKLF. The order book is, well, now it's thinning out a little bit, but before, actually, when it was running up, which is kind of opposite to say, but it was becoming a little more liquid over time, like as it was becoming a more volatile move. So now at this point it's thinned out a bit more. I'd be really careful on this trade. I would like to say it has to break out of this consolidation sooner than later. And then otherwise, perhaps we could see some more clear levels ahead. 13, there's only like 1,900, 2,000 shares, sitting there on the ask. So it's not really that big of a level. If anything, like 1310, there's a little bit more volume on the ask sitting there. All right, HKD, is this a buyout? I don't know. Oof, not a buyout. Oh my God, what the hell is this? Ended up running up from like 20 all the way up to 45. I'm just gonna flip this back to a daily chart. Obviously, you could tell it's my first look on this trade throughout the entire day. It's trading just over 1 million shares. It's up over 100% now. I'd rather trade PGY, right? So, for right now, I'll pass on this HKD. Hey, even from this morning, for those of us that missed out on PGY, you did really well on the other trades. The TKLF, the SDIG, APLD. We ended up trading the which one? The PIK just a moment ago, at least from earlier heading into the late morning, early afternoon. The PIK, another one, just at least that we were able to get our hands on, a lot more liquid of a stock. You could see just looking at level 3 on the far right side here, at least you're dealing with a more manageable spread, easier to read order book. Ended up making a nice little push from earlier today, the PIK. For right now, you would call this the second win type of move. So unless if it was a lot closer to the highs at this point in the day, or as we jump over to the losers list, if it's a lot closer to the lows heading into the afternoon, I'm not normally going to be as vested in it, as interested in it. All right, TBLT is warrants. Would you look at that? I didn't realize that until right now. The more you know. TKLF is already on our list, so we have PGY and we have TKLF for those counting at home. We'll obviously post the full list as soon as we finish up this meeting. The TBLT trade, though, regular equity TBLT, at this point now, it's not looking as good unless if something really big steps up on the bid. I do see about 12,000 shares roughly sitting there at 741 right now. Is that enough? I don't know. This thing's traded 121 plus mil today. I would look for a bigger drop down closer towards 7 at this point. The reason I say that is because I was looking for the bounce at least earlier off of the VWAP, which was right around like 785, 780-ish. Didn't get it. Ended up taking a 5-cent loss at the time, and then it tanked. So, for what it's worth, we had our fun on this TBLT trade, not just from today, not just from yesterday, but beginning from Wednesday. Remember, this was a day over day over day run. For as much as it's pumped up, we even called out the historical resistance earlier today, in the trading room, and I didn't expect it to hit. To be honest with you, I'm not like, I wasn't expecting it to hit, but you have to identify it and map it out and take it level by level. The more this pushed up, the more that became a reality. So that was roughly right around 9-ish, and it ended up, breaking up a little bit up towards 935. But if it's not going to remain strong near those levels, if it's not going to look to break higher, there's only one other way it's going to go. So, it's volatile enough and it is liquid enough. Looking at level 3, it's a really good order book. So I don't mind at least putting this on our main list, the TBLT, in hopes of another, squeeze up. It's good enough, definitely tradable enough at this stage. If it does break lower here, just don't be surprised if it makes the move closer to 7. All right, let's see what else we got. Decent list here to begin. The TRHC trade, this thing was a chop fest. Ended up making like a nice gradual run up across the day, but we're looking for a more volatile move, more of like a TBLT. You can see aside from like the late morning, early afternoon pump that it had, it was really choppy across the morning and across the early to mid afternoon now. This is a nightmare off of 5. So your hope here is to see this just blast 5 and become a lot faster of a trade. It's at the highs, and again, it's liquid enough of an order book, but I don't like the way this is moving up and down. It's so rugged, right? I'll tell you, I don't have a need to put this on our main list, so I'm gonna put this on the side for right now. I'll come back to it at the end, and we'll see what else is out there here. CYH, not a whole lot happening on this one. Markets are obviously down right now, so not a whole lot, I would assume, name brand wise, that's up, unless it's like coming off earnings or whatever. THC, Tenant Healthcare, a little expensive, but just want to check it out here. Not a whole lot happening. Yep, that might just about do it, folks, on the gainers list at least. Hey, unless if there's anything else looking good, we'll check out. I didn't mean to click this. MLTX. I meant to click on UNG, natural gas ETF. We've at least traded this in cold in the past. Wanted to at least take a look, but obviously not looking great in direction. So let's hop over to the loser side right now. Let's see if there's any good shorts that can go with the market. I know UAL was down big yesterday. Perhaps that's making a stronger drop off today. Snap obviously was the big loser from this morning here, so I'll jump to that first. Nice trend down right away from pre-market leading into the open. So you definitely look for that short. As soon as the market opened up, of course, it tanked. So you would want to see a nice pop up at first, but it looks like it did that prior to the open, and then it made its real snap afterwards right away. We typically wait the first 3 to 5 minutes. So unless if you were able to get in from pre-market, your next best bet, to be honest, would have been right off that 1080 level once it retraced back up heading into the mid-morning off 10 a.m. It ended up rebounding up towards 1080-ish, ended up pulling back up towards the VWAP at the time and pulled right back down. It was a really, really good trade from there. I ended up just getting stopped out break even on a short from 10.05. I was looking for a quick move down to 10 from there. Didn't get it. It's all right. I'm not complaining. This is just a slow trade now here heading into the afternoon. So again, the hope is to see it really shake lower. But this stock has so much volume on the book, it's so liquid that it's really tough to expect that. You would want to see less volume on the book for a short should this look to break down below 10 and 995 there. And if anything, it has huge support at 990, a 436,000 share order sitting there on the bid. So yeah, right now this snap trade I think is more exhausted at this point. Maybe, unless if the markets fly and run completely up and there's massive short covering and that makes the dead cat bounce, but it's not worth your time right now. Please take my advice as of now on that. SIGA, another big loser from today. Great short from this morning. Michael, one of our longtime students, had called it out, and at that point, I personally had missed it myself. But I should have been on top of this one a little bit more from pre-market. It's one that we've just had our eye on forever. So, it could have been a great trade right away, right from 14 all the way down to sub 12. So, right now this trade's just flat for the afternoon. Again, not really worth watching at this stage. Peloton. Mhm. On the other hand, direction-wise, it looks pretty good. Nice downtrend at the lows. It's not too liquid like Snapchat, where there's like 100,000 share orders every like 5 cents. I don't mind it. I'll put this on our main list here, the Peloton short. Ron with UVXY. Yeah, that could be a good one too. I'm just, really quickly looking at the chat board from a distance there. And yeah, UVXY could be a good one. Let me just finish up at the loser side here. Just one last look. Nah. All right. So before we even jump to Ron's UVXY, which I very well will put on the list, let me just go through some stocks first. UAL, like the airlines, doesn't really seem that great in terms of direction. Pass on it. My Neo, which I'll be honest with you, folks, it goes to show, like, you don't need to fall in love with the stock. I didn't really care about Neo at all the last couple of days, actually. So, ended up making for a great drop off. Of course, on the days I don't prep for it, the thing makes a really good move. But for right now, it's a little slow, a little flat, giant support at 19. So if that breaks, perhaps we could follow that more as a short opportunity. It's down over 7%. Doesn't hurt us to put Neo on our main list, but let's see if there's anything else looking even better, more like a Peloton type of direction there. MGM, like casino stock, not really a whole lot going on there. Or Penn. What else we got? Just thinking name brand here. GM, Ford, auto stocks, not a whole lot happening there. Just looking at like expensive names like Wayfair, maybe even. A little bit more direction, lower highs, perhaps ready for a lower low. Apple, obviously. I actually ended up shorting Apple earlier today. I was in discussion with one of our students, and right from a huge 296,000 share print, it failed to hold support at first. And then from there, once it retested that price, broke under it, led to a great short trade. It was right from 154.50. 154.36, 154.53, one of those prices, Robert F. But nonetheless, that led to a nice drop at first. I got out at that point. It was small share position anyway. It's just too expensive. But, if the markets drop off, perhaps that could lead to a nice continuated move. 154 also is a big support level from the last day or two. So, just food for thought there. But I'm not going to add Apple to our main list. Uber, nice drop from earlier today. Name brand. Pinterest dropped off with Snapchat earlier today. This one's a lot less liquid compared to Snapchat. So perhaps if there is still some downward momentum on Snapchat, maybe this even makes the better move. But again, I don't really have a great need to put this on our list just yet. Let's jump to AI from Norman, who says it may be a good short, and at least this looks a lot better in direction. Yeah, and order book looks good. So you know what? Why not? Looks good. I like this call, Norman. UVXY from Ron. So going back to ETFs, if it was showing better direction, yeah. Once it does, I'm sure we'll call it out. So not a bad shout, right? But on days where there's even better direction in the market, or perhaps rather with UVXY in particular. If there's better direction, I'd be more keen to put it on our list. So if there is better direction coming up, we'll call it out. TBLT took off. It bounced a little bit. Started to bounce back up towards that 785-ish area. VWAP right now is at 779. So, it's probably going to be around in consolidation for a little while, at least at this point. So it started to make that bounce. It's already on our list, right? All right, Mara, side list stock, not a whole lot happening here, but I am in on this on a small position right now. Basically I'm up a few cents now. I'm in from 42. All right. But it's been a good day otherwise. This trade does not do anything to me really, unless if it takes off, then all the more to it, right? But, otherwise, if I take a 4 or 5 cent loss, it's been a really opportunistic day if you've been at your desk and if you've been mapping out your morning beginning from pre-market, and if you've lined up your iceberg levels, you know what to do. So, not every day does it provide as good of an opportunity. Surprisingly and refreshingly for a Friday, it's been one of those days. So, nonetheless, if there's anything else out there, folks, definitely let me know. But I like this list here. We'll check out the TRHC trade to wrap up. That was on our, side list, so to say. Doesn't, hurt us to put this back on the main list now. We don't have like 12, 13 stocks, like a traditional Josh watch list here. So, just be careful on this trade. You want to see this really blast over 5 because of how shaky this thing has been throughout the majority of the afternoon. So, if it breaks over 5 and it's shaking around, then I wouldn't look, unless if it really carries trend, I really wouldn't look for a whole lot. All right, folks. So aside from that, I will jump off the mic. Rich will be on from 3 to 4. So with that, I will be in the chat from 3 to 3:30. But afterwards, I'm going to be jumping out. So for all of us live inside the trading room, best of luck trading heading into the market close. For all of us on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube. Questions that you have, send over to my email address, josh@ctutrading.com. We ended up doing our Traders Talk workshop, more of like a pop-up, flash pop-up edition of it just this past Tuesday. So that's actually a recorded video on our YouTube channel. Go right to youtube.com/cybertradingu just to watch that video. Otherwise, if you're interested in joining our live trading room, feel more than free to do so by going right down to the link on the yellow banner below right there to get yourself started. For Grant, for Karen, for Norman, for Ron, for all of us just there in the chat board, I'll be there till 3:30, so I'll keep chatting with you for a bit, but otherwise, take care, folks.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9. Do it today.